The information and opinions expressed on Senior Living are neither legally binding nor the responsibility of this cable system.
Hi, my name is Pat Samasco and welcome to this episode of Senior Living. I'm an attorney in the Tri-County area, and over the past episodes we've talked about a lot of different topics, and this is a very, very important topic that we're talking about. And in the past we've talked about wills and trusts and power of attorneys, and one of the most common questions I get all the time is, Pat, when do I need to update or review my documents? And the answer is right now. There's been some major Medicaid laws changes came out July 1st of 2011 that everybody needs to take a look at the paperwork. And it affects families that are in a nursing home or may have to go into a nursing home in the future. And there's a lot of information we're going to be talking about today. If you need a copy of this video, call my office, send me an email, and we'll send a copy to you. Now, let's set things up. Dad's in the nursing home and he's applying for Medicaid benefits. And what happens with Medicaid, and we know from our past shows, is Medicaid takes a look at all of the assets. They look at the house and they look at the car and the bank accounts. And what they allow you to have is a house, a car, and basically $2,000 in assets. You can have a funeral contract, a little bit of life insurance. So they look at everything, but then they exempt out certain assets. What that means is when Dad's in a nursing home and he owns a house, they never made Dad sell the house before Medicaid would pay the nursing home bill or their share of the nursing home bill. Dad could have the house, the family would have to figure out how to pay the taxes and insurance, but when Dad passed away, that house would go down to his family members and we wouldn't have to worry about the house being sold and going back to Medicaid to reimburse them for the Medicaid benefits that they paid. Well, guess what? That all changed. There's a brand new law out that took effect July 1st, and it's called the Estate Recovery Act. The good old days couldn't last. And the reason for that is Medicaid is a government benefit that's paid through the federal government and the state. And the federal government said that every state has to adopt their form of the Estate Recovery Act. So Michigan was about the last state to adopt it. And this is the funny thing. Back in September of 2007, Michigan adopted the Estate Recovery Act, but they never implemented it or never started enforcing it until July 1st of 2011, and it's in force right now. So, if you don't have your estate set up properly now, or if you know someone that's in a nursing home and they don't have their paperwork set up properly, they could risk losing the house, and this is how it works. With the Estate Recovery Act, Michigan doesn't file a lien on your on your house. They don't file a lien. They don't make you sell the house to pay for, or do a spend down to pay for the nursing home. They let you keep the house. But if you pass away, they don't file a lien on the house yet, but what they do is file a lien on the probate estate. So if that house goes through probate, Medicaid can file a lien on the probate estate and they're going to get reimbursed for the money that they paid out. And right now, the average nursing home cost is approximately $7,000 a month. So, what it is, what's an estate? Anything that goes through probate, they have a right to file a lien on. Now typically Dad, if he's a single person, his only real asset is a house because he's only allowed $2,000 in the bank. But we see this all the time. Dad's brother just passes away. Dad's aunt just passed away, and Dad's a beneficiary. So if the uncle passed away and Dad gets anything, that's part of his probate estate, and Medicaid could file a lien on it and take it. So anything that goes through probate is subject to the lien. Now, Medicaid, they're looking at really the lien for people that are 55 or older and in a nursing home. I'm going to give you a slide shot of what all the real technical rules of the law is, but let's hit the big points. So if mom or dad, they're in a nursing home after September of 2007, and Medicaid's paying part of the nursing home bill, Medicaid has the right to recover that money from their probate estate. Now, Michigan can decide not to file a lien, and they do that if there's called an undue hardship. A lot of times, dad or mom's in the nursing home, but the surviving spouse is at home. If there's a surviving spouse at home, they're not going to file a lien on the probate estate. But the trick is this: if dad's in the nursing home, you have to get the house out of dad's name, because you take it out of dad's name and you put it into mom's name, because if mom dies, she's allowed the kids to inherit the property. If she died before dad, which can happen, and that house goes right back to dad, that's when the lien can be filed all over again. There's also an opportunity if one of the children are a disabled child. Doesn't matter the age, if they're a child under 21, or maybe if a child's disabled on Social Security Disability, SSI, or SSDI, they're not going to file a lien. All other cases, they're going to file a lien on it. If the house is not worth very much money, very modest value, they may not decide to file a lien. Sadly, I don't think the state is going to know what to do with these houses. If they start getting houses, there's going to be just houses all over the place. I don't know if they're going to know how to sell the house, who's going to cut the weed, or the grass, which will turn into weeds. There'll be break-ins. All that problem is horrible that we're going to be faced with in the future. So we know that the state has the ability to file a lien. Now, how does it actually work? And we're seeing hundreds of these letters right now. If you had someone in a nursing home and they're on Medicaid, the state is going to send a letter to the family member who is in charge of filing the Medicaid application, saying that the estate intends on filing a lien against their probate estate. Who's in charge of the probate? Which court is it in? How is the value of the probate? And what they're looking for is to see, okay, do we want to file a lien or not, and who should we talk to? If there is no probate, there isn't a place for the lien to be filed. So the idea is, if anything's going through probate, we have to worry about it. So the key in our planning right now is to keep the house out of probate. We want to keep the house out of probate. We want to keep the Uncle Fred from passing away and having his brother inherit money. We want to look at all of those issues. You want to look at all those issues to make sure there's no unintended consequences. Now, we've talked a lot about how do you keep the house out of probate. And we've talked about revocable trust agreements. A revocable trust is a document that says, hey, I own my house.